Hi, this is Kim with Urantia. It's great to be here with you. Okay, so we're going to read from the Urantia book, but first we got Light the Flame by Andrew Harvey. Okay, and it's October 25th, and this is from the book of Habakkuk. Habakkuk, which is Habakkuk was a prophet of God in the in the Old Testament. In the Old Testament, yep. This is called The Prophet Responds. It's Habakkuk 3:17 to 18. Does that mean chapter 3? I'm not a Bible aficionado, guys. I got to confess. I should look into this. I should know more about the Bible. I would like to. It's just time, I got to settle in with, I'd like to learn more about it. Of course, it all takes time. Anyway, Habakkuk chapter 3, verse 17 to 18. Okay. Though the fig tree doesn't bloom and there's no produce on the vine, though the olive crop withers and the fields don't provide food, though the sheep is cut off from the pen and there is no cattle in the stalls, I will rejoice in the Lord. Okay, so this is about poverty, material poverty. Doesn't matter. All of these problems. There's no cattle in the stalls. The fig tree doesn't bloom. There's frustration. There's no crops. The fields aren't and I'm hungry and I'm still I have this life. I have this another breath to draw, and I can thank God for that. Though there's all these problems, rejoice that God saves me from all these things in the end. These are just material discomforts that don't matter. And it doesn't mean that we shouldn't do something about that. See, people get mixed up when they think about so when there's crops are failed and all this here, we just sit here and thank the Lord and just be like little sitting ducks, right? No. Okay, that's not it. You can rejoice in the Lord and maybe be stimulated to use your creative energy to solve these problems or to make your life as good as it can be. It doesn't mean to just sit there and do nothing. That's where people get confused about that, I think. But there is a certain angst that comes with investing in problem solving, because you're going to try something and you don't know if it's going to work. So it's kind of this, you don't know, you're trying this. Yeah. There was this movie that came out of it was a Korean movie. It was about the problems that this immigrant family from Korea was having when they moved to the Midwest. It was an excellent film. I think it was they were Korean, or were they Chinese or Taiwanese or something. I don't know. I can't remember. I don't know what was the name of that. It was an Asian word for a root or a grain or something that you can plant. A plant. And these people were having so much trouble, so much problem with their harvest, trying to adapt to Midwestern. They were in like Oklahoma or something, or Kansas. I can't remember more. This film made a big impression on me. But and how they go forth to solve their problems, and their family member has an illness, and there's guilt and frustration, and they're trying to solve this problem. Yeah. And then almost like miraculously everything's okay. It's really great. But anyway, okay, I'm devolving again. We got to look at here. Paper 23. Paper 23, the nature, solitary messengers. We're on section 1, the nature and origin of solitary messengers. Okay. All right. So immediately following the creation of the 7 spirits of the Habona circuits, the infinite spirit brought into being the vast core of solitary messengers. There is no part of the universal creation which is pre-existent to the solitary messengers except paradise and the Habona circuits. Right, so these beings came really early in the creation of everything. They have functioned throughout the grand universe from near eternity. They are fundamental to the divine technique of the infinite spirit for self-revelation to and personal contact with the far-flung creations of time and space. Notwithstanding that these messengers are existent from the near times of eternity, they are all aware of a beginning of selfhood. So they can remember back when they were born. They are conscious of time, being the first of the creation of the infinite spirit to possess such a time consciousness. Right, because the divine trinity is kind of outside of time. They are the firstborn creatures of the infinite spirit to be personalized in time and spiritualized in space. These solitary spirits came forth in the dawn of time as full-fledged and perfectly endowed spirit beings. They are all equal, and there are no classes or subdivisions found on personal variation. Their classifications are based wholly on the type of work to which they are assigned from time to time. Mortals start out as well-nigh material beings on the worlds of space and ascend inward toward the great centers. These solitary spirits start out at the center of all things and crave assignment to the remote creations, even to the individual worlds of the outermost local universes and even beyond. So in that way, they kind of remind me of descending suns. Though denominated solitary messengers, they are not lonesome spirits, for they truly like to work alone. Okay, so they're not lonesome or lonely, because their work is alone, because they are solitary. They are the only beings in all creation who can and do enjoy a solitary existence, albeit they equally enjoy association with the very few orders of universe intelligence with whom they can fraternize. Okay, so they do have some associates, but not very, very many, is what I can get. Okay, solitary messengers are not isolated in their service. They are constantly in touch with the wealth of the intellect of all creation, as they are capable of listening in on all the broadcasts of the realms of their sojourn. They can also intercommunicate with members of their own immediate core, those beings doing the same kind of work in the same super universe. They could communicate with others of their number but they have been directed by the council of the 7 master spirits not to do so. Why? And they are a loyal group. They do not disobey or default. There is no record that a solitary messenger ever stumbled into darkness. Okay, so they're told not to. They can also intercommunicate with their members of their own group, but they don't. They're not isolated in their service. They're constantly in touch with the wealth of the intellect of all creation, as they are capable of listening in on all the broadcasts of the realms of their sojourn. So they maintain like networks of communication, or they can hear what's going on. So they're privy to a lot of information, but they're told not to talk to each other. That's really weird. Why? Okay, I don't know. I mean, don't judge, okay? They could communicate with others of their number, but they have been directed not to do so. The solitary messengers, like the universe power directors, are among the very few types of beings operating throughout the realms who are exempt from apprehension or detention by the tribunals of time and space. They could be cited to appear before no one except the 7 master spirits. But not in all the annals of the master universe has this paradise council ever been called upon to adjudicate the case of a solitary messenger. So they are exempt from apprehension or detention by the tribunals of time and space. So these guys have like special. Nobody has jurisdiction over their activities, which is really. But they're nobody's ever gone astray here. But they could only be summoned. They could only be cited before one of the 7 master spirits. Wow. Okay, so they're pretty special then. These messengers of solitary assignment are a dependable, self-reliant, versatile, thoroughly spiritual, and broadly sympathetic group of created beings derived from the third source and center, right? They come from the spirit alone. They operate by the authority of the infinite spirit resident on the central isle of paradise, and as personalized on the headquarters spheres of the local universes. They are constant partakers of the direct circuit emanating from the infinite spirit. And even when they function in the local creations under the immediate influence of the local universe mother spirits. Okay, so they're constantly in the circuit of the infinite spirit of the Trinity, the divine Holy Trinity. So no matter how far they go out, they're always part of that infinite spirit circuit. There is a technical reason why these solitary messengers must travel and work alone. For short periods and when stationary, they can collaborate in a group. But when thus ensembled, they are altogether cut off from the sustenance and direction of their paradise circuit. They are wholly isolated. Okay. Right. Okay. They can collaborate in a group for short periods, but when thus ensembled, they are altogether cut off from the sustenance and direction of their paradise circuit. They're isolated. So if they're in a group together, that costs them their connection with the infinite spirit through the spirit circuit. That's an interesting dynamic. Okay. When in transit, or when operating in the circuits of space and the currents of time, if two or more of this order are in close proximity, both or all or are thrown out of liaison with the higher circulating forces. So if they get too close to each other, that throws them out of alignment with the power of the, there was oh gosh, Will Smith, Hancock, and it was a Hancock movie, I'm pretty sure. And it was about these special beings who had special abilities. And it was Charlize Theron. So these beings here, when they come together and recognize each other, they lose their power. That was a movie. I wonder if it's like that. The solitary messengers. So when they're apart, they can have superhero power. Really amazing power to do incredible things. But they're so lonely. But they don't, in this says that they're not lonely. When they come together, they lose their power. But when separated, they have amazing power. Okay, that was a movie. Hancock. It was called Hancock with Will Smith and Charlize Theron. And the other guy, the other dude from Arresting Development, Jason Bateman, was in that. I think that's Jason Bateman. And he's also in Ozark, the guy in Ozark. Right. Anyway, okay. So when they come together, they are short-circuited, as you might describe it in illustrative symbols. Therefore, they have inherent within them a power of automatic alarm, a warning signal which unerringly operates to apprise them of approaching conflicts and unfailingly keeps them sufficiently separated as not to interfere with their proper and effective functioning. They also possess inherent and automatic powers which detect and indicate the proximity of both the inspired Trinity spirits and the divine thought adjusters. So they have little radar detectors in them, because if they get too close to stuff, especially one of their own kind, they're not going to be able to function. But they don't really mind it because they're not really lonely. Really interesting. These messengers possess no power of personality extension or reproduction, but there's practically no work of the universes in which they cannot engage and to which they cannot contribute something essential and helpful. Especially are they the great time savers for those who are concerned in the administration of universe affairs. Okay, so they help save time by communicating. They're the great time savers, right? For those who are concerned in the administration of universe affairs. And they assist us all from the highest to the lowest. Okay. That's amazing. Okay, wonderful. I'm going to leave it there. Got to get going. I got a busy day. And I hope you do too. Have a great one, okay? Bye.